Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to our final match within the round 32 in RST. A long while, finally getting out of this round. I mean, a lot of interesting matches happening, but we do have the Big Mouse versus Sphadelol. And we are currently getting into the rolls with Spade winning the roll, it seems. Here we go, Spade going for that first game of choice between first protector or first ban. It looks like they do want to ban first potentially. So it looks like we will be seeing Big Mouse being able to get their first protect. And it looks like we'll be seeing a race for protect. And Spade being able to get the protect and ban now, so really interesting to see what they protect. I mean, seeing as they wanted to ban an Ellen, and potentially one of the race, or maybe a hybrid protect. And RST Protector, very interesting one. I mean, not a map that really gets banned at all, so kind of an interesting map to protect. Big Mouse probably going for an LN3 ban. Kind of seeing how they did go out at the kind of beginning. Looks like we'll be seeing an LN2 ban instead though. Very interesting one. So we are seeing both the LMs being banned. So it is now time for Sphadelol to kind of pick though. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they pick, especially with all these LMs being banned. Went for Hybrid 2 off the bat though. Very interesting choice, especially given that they did ban 2 of the Ellens already. to go into this first pick. I mean, a very crucial one, especially with how the map like this one kind of is in terms of nature. I mean, it is very streamy, very Ellen-y, which it could pose a threat to kind of either player depending on how they do perform though. But we will have to kind of wait and see how this does play out though. And here we go. Starting off, I mean, so far Sphadelol was a little bit of higher accuracy, but it is only the start, so there isn't really too much that we can really judge off for now. That lead going all the way to the Big Mouse though, as we do see a very early miss, but if we do happen to see a miss from the Big Mouse, I mean, it could potentially go more in favor of Sphadelol just because of the kind of early miss it is, not reaching that 400 combo range, I believe, so it definitely does give them a little bit of an opportunity, and doesn't really give the Big Mouse that much of a cushion. I mean, especially with that accuracy kind of starting to go a little bit lower compared to Spade. I mean, if Sphadelol is able to kind of build up that accuracy, and as the Big Mouse maybe kind of goes down a little bit more, it is possible to see Sphadelol kind of just make it out merely just from the fact of act. I mean, you see the Big Mouse go a little bit below that 99 range. I mean, you can definitely tell that these elements are giving them a little bit of trouble at least. And kind of the nature of this map being a little bit fast, a little bit bursty, definitely does pose a bit of a challenge. I mean, you start to see the lead kind of shrink a little bit. I mean, Sphadelol is trying to really build up that accuracy, especially as we start to get into a little bit of a slower part. I mean, a little bit more kind of Ellen coordination, which definitely could give either player trouble, but I mean, looks like Sphadelol definitely going to start to lose a little bit of that accuracy lead they had. The Big Mouse definitely starting to catch up in terms of that accuracy though. A very dangerous spot for Sphadelol to be in, especially as it is their pick. But with that, Big Mouse going to get that point, a break point at the very start, very, very important point for them as well. I mean, definitely does give them a little bit of an advantage in terms of kind of opening up the map. I mean, potentially it gives them a chance to kind of go into LN1 and maybe even Hybrid 1, but we'll kind of have to wait and see. It is the Big Mouse's pick though. And we definitely have a little bit of opportunity to kind of look over. And like I said, I mean, they are going to go for LN1 immediately. Funny enough, I mean, Sphadelol having a slight bit of an accolade I was gonna say not by much, but I mean, Big Mouse definitely dropping a lot. But so is Sphadelol. I mean, start to see these accuracies kind of lower down a little bit more. We'll have to kind of wait and see how this does go. I mean, as we were kind of getting through this, I mean, looks like Spade having just a little bit of an accolade, not by much though. It's definitely possible to see kind of trade over. And like we start to see it here, I mean, it's definitely kind of flickering between both of these players. It doesn't really give either of them an opportunity to have a decent lead. I mean, the Big Mouse starting to climb up that accuracy though, and starting to go a little bit above Sphadelol. Could potentially speak to some problems for Sphadelol. A little bit of concern could also be put, but I mean, this is the only Ellen pick available, so it doesn't really matter too much if Sphadelol kind of loses this one, merely for the fact that basically all the Ellen heavy maps are pretty much done with. But I mean, as we do get into this break section, I mean, the Big Mouse was just a little bit under 2,000 lead. And as we get through this section, I mean, still relatively calm, but you will start to see the map kind of build up a little bit, especially as we do get past here. I mean, so far it does look really much in favor of the Big Mouse, but I mean, looks like Sphadelol kind of building up a little bit of that accuracy. Big Mouse staying around that range. I mean, you do see them go up just a little bit, but Sphadelol really going up in terms of accuracy just a little bit more compared to the Big Mouse. You start to see the accuracy start to match just a little bit more. And just like that, Sphadelol just gaining just ever slightly a lead. I mean, especially as we are in this ending, I mean, it's possible for it to kind of shift over, but it does look a little bit unlikely. But just as I say that, a big accuracy drop coming from Sphadelol, it's so hard to tell who's going to take this point. As we get here, I think the Big Mouse is going to take this point though. It's still so close. I mean, Sphadelol trying their hardest to kind of bump up the accuracy, but I don't think there's enough notes to really push that unless we see a really detrimental rate or two coming from the Big Mouse. But that will conclude this map. We'll be going to the Big Mouse. I mean, such a close match and such a risky one as well. I mean, you see such a huge ratio difference coming from these two players. I mean, Sphadelol having exactly 100 more greats. I mean, 100 less perfects and around 11 more greats. I mean, it is Sphadelol's pick now. I mean, anything could really happen here. I mean, we only have SV, Rice, and Hybrid, but looks like we'll be seeing a Rice 4 being put into play. Went into a protect though. I mean, hopefully Sphadelol is able to kind of get this point here. Especially with how little kind of Allen hybrid picks in general. I mean, there's only hybrid 1 left in terms of kind of LNE maps. I mean, there is also the SV pick, but that could really go to anyone. But here we go, as we are getting into this next pick, Rice 4. Sphadelol dropping a lot in that early part. We'll have to see if they are able to kind of get their way back up, potentially get the lead. But I mean, the Big Mouth's holding a pretty good lead already. It's a near 99.8. Starting to kind of flicker down just a little bit. You start to see it dwindle down just a little bit more. Sphadelol definitely picking up in terms of accuracy. Here we go, as we kind of get past this first part. Sphadelol going up into that 99.5, the Big Mouse dropping down to 99.66. You definitely start to see a little bit of accuracy kind of play out and even each other out. Not really too much though, but as we get to this part, those race notes definitely tripping the Big Mouse up. It's going to shift that lead all the way towards Sphadelol, finally bringing the lead towards them after such a long time of being below that lead. But they're going to have to stay extremely consistent, especially on a map like this, which has so many different skill sets. I mean, even here, you start to see the accuracy affect Sphadelol a lot, and just as I say that, getting a miss already. I mean, definitely not something they want to see, especially just because of how these past maps have been going. Ooh, a dirty call mark, it looks like, dropping them by almost a percentage already. I mean, they were just holding a 99.4, and now they're getting all the way to a 98. Starting to get a little below that kind of 98.3 mark. But here we go, as we get into a little bit of a kind of trickier part, a little kind of in and out section. We're gonna have to see if it even is possible for Spade to get this point, but it just looks so unlikely, especially as we reach this jack section. I mean, it looks like the Big Mouse is going to take it by a landslide. I mean, being almost a percentile up definitely just give them the edge. I mean, even then, the ratio is kind of... I mean, the perfect count being a little similar, but you can definitely tell. I mean, 10 more grades, 3 100s, and 7 extra misses that the Big Mouse didn't have. I mean, it's definitely going to affect them a lot, especially with some of these other picks that are left. I mean, it's the Big Mouse's pick. They don't really have that much to worry about. I mean, they could go with Hybrid 1, which might just be kind of a convincing pick for them, seeing how LN1 and Hybrid 3 and Hybrid 2 have gone. But they could also choose SV if they are feeling a little bit confident, or even Rice 3. I do think those picks are some pretty good ones, especially seeing how Rice 4 went. I mean, a map that's more technical could be a lot more dangerous for Sphadelol, but we are going to see SV put into play now. And here we go as we do get into this pick now. Here we go. I mean, starting off, Sphadelol was very slight lead. I mean, nothing too much to say as we get through this first section. It is very sight readable, very friendly, just to anyone in general. Big Mouse getting a miss just and the early section. I mean, definitely not something that they'd want to see on their pick, but I mean, they still have a lot of cushioning with those 3 points compared to Sphadelol, who still hasn't gotten a single point yet, but this could potentially be the place they get their point at, especially with that miss coming from the Big Mouse, especially because this is an SV pick. There aren't as many notes as some of these other picks. go, as we do get into a little bit the more the main part of this map. Going through this part, I mean, Sphadelol holding into a 99.6, while the big mouse dropping down below a 99. Definitely not something you want to see, but Sphadelol getting a miss as they reach this section. This could be very bad if they get another miss, and especially with that miss being more early on compared to the big mouse, it could be very dangerous. But as we do get through this, it looks like Sphadelol going to keep that accuracy lead, which is definitely going to help them a lot more. The big mouse getting a lot of misses at the very end, it seems, but it's just going to push that lead even further for Sphadelol. It will bring Sphadelol into their first point as well. Very good kind of... But, I mean, it is Sphadelol's pick. I mean, they are kind of in control, but what to pick is really the question. I mean, all the elements are gone. There's only one hybrid, and I mean, you have all these other rice maps, but what do you pick? I mean, we saw how System Error went. It did seem a bit too physical for them. So potentially, maybe Rice 1. Rice 2 could be a little bit tricky, but they do seem to go for it. Here we go, into Rice 2. We're gonna have to see how this plays out. If Sphadelol can maybe make a comeback. And here we go, going into this next pick. Sphadelol's gonna really have to hope that they can bring up some consistency and potentially even some accuracy within these next few picks. Starting off early with a very, very close match already. I mean, it really is a matter of who's able to stay more consistent. I mean, it's flickering back and forth. I mean, at times it's even a tie. And what do you do in this situation? An early miss coming from Sphadelol is definitely not what they want to see, especially as it's their pick. I mean, if Big Boss stays consistent, I mean, they could easily run away with this point. I mean, we've been seeing the Big Boss stay fairly consistent throughout these maps. So, I mean, a miss like that is definitely going to cost them a lot. Especially as this map is fairly short. I mean, there isn't that much room for mistakes here. I mean, against this kind of center section, I mean, the Big Mouse staying really consistent. Another miss coming from Sphadelol, and I think that's over for them. Especially seeing how consistent the Big Mouse has been. I mean, there isn't really much that they can do. And another miss at the very end. A bunch of them coming just as they're ending it. Really unfortunate for Sphadelol, but that does mean that they will be knocked out of the tournament, unfortunately. The Big Mouse with 992, staying very strong throughout this map. The V1SS, but they will proceed into the losers round of 16. And what a match to kind of end it off on. I mean, not a sweep, thankfully. A little bit of an interesting one, but that does mean Sphadelol is being dropped out of the tournament. And the Big Mouse pretty much winning this one, making it into the next round, the round of 16. But with that, I mean, all the matches are now done. I mean, we start to have all these next matches, but of course, I mean, these are round of 16 matches, so I mean, nothing much else to say. So for now, we're done. More info within the map pool showcase will be sent out in a bit. But until then, I am your streamer and commentator Znow, and I'll see you in the showcase.